Hello and welcome to The Contrarians, where we're right and you're wrong. I'm Alex.
I'm Julio, and thank you for listening. If you like what you hear, head over to Apple Podcasts to subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Help promote the algorithm and spread the word.
You can also find us on SoundCloud to subscribe and review. And don't forget to visit our main website, wearethecontrarians.com.
Follow us on Twitter at Contrarian Prime, and to like us on Facebook, visit facebook.com/Contrarian Prime.
And if you have the willpower to keep up with our pretentious ramblings, you can follow us individually at Contrarian Alex for myself and at Ovnio for Julio. That's OVNIO.
Now, time for the podcast.
Hello and welcome back to The Contrarians, where we're right and you're wrong. Commentary track number 2 out of our over 100 episodes. Only the second to enter the final frontier of full-blown commentary track. We've been teasing this one for a while, so it should come as no surprise. Joined as always by my co-host Julio.
Hello.
Julio. Good
Hi.
evening. And joining us once again, no stranger to the podcast, but here once again to help us out with a commentary track from Other Worlds Austin Film Festival, Reid Lansford. Reid, how are you doing on this chilly Friday evening?
Happy Thanksgiving. Oh, did you say Friday?
I did, because it feels like a Friday, but it's actually a Wednesday.
I didn't know if there was a timeline we were supposed to. Yes. Well, happy Thanksgiving Eve or Friday. You can edit this later.
Yeah, this will work out as it does. But yeah, big Friday vibes today. So, not a Friday, but more of a nightmare. We're here to visit Wes Craven's 1994 movie, Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
It is a movie.
The 7th entry in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise.
Why did y'all pick this? Like, I was curious because, like, you did like the first one and the terrible remake, and like, was there any kind of?
Because we wanted to have you on. We wanted to bridge it. So
It's an apology to you, really.
We wanted to bridge it because we always try to have you on around the time of Other Worlds to, kind of go into that. And also it made sense coming from the autumn of remakes into this, because this personally is the only Nightmare movie that I truly enjoy. And you and I have discussed that. And Julio, having not found much redeeming from the original, I was like, all right, we'll get something out of this for you. So there is no
Rooney Mara,
thank you. And what's Rorschach's name?
Kate Mara.
Jackie Earle Haley. So this is a commentary track, not our usual setup. So if you are listening at home and have this synced up with your New Nightmare DVD and or Blu-ray, press play now.
Could they have a laser disc of New Nightmare, or was this just way after?
Oh, and if it gives you the option for widescreen or full screen,
Always
widescreen.
We do need to build in a break in case they are using the laser disc, because they will need to take it out and flip it over.
I didn't learn until the most recent year of my life that Criterion had several releases on Laserdisc.
Mm-hmm.
The Half Price Books up the street, I found Brazil. They had like the 4-disc Laserdisc set of that. So here in the beginning, if you've seen New Nightmare or if you haven't, this is all just a bunch of setup. So as I mentioned, we were having Reid on in correlation with the Other Worlds Austin Film Festival. So Reid, tell us where we need to go, what we need to see, what we need to do. This is your time to plug any and everything about Other Worlds.
Well, this
I'm
nightmare
actually
goes on.
interested now because I haven't seen this in years, and I forgot that they did the opening that was the opening of the original again. So,
Well, then you had your chance to plug your festival, and instead you decided to be mesmerized by the opening Nightmare.
No, it's a week from tomorrow night. Other Worlds Austin. Check us out at otherworldsfilmfest.com. Sci-fi and horror. You guys will both be there this year. It's we have a really great lineup. Our guest of honor is Nicholas Meyer, the guy who co-wrote and directed Star Trek Wrath of Khan and Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country. we're actually showing Star Trek 6 with him there, and as well as his film Time After Time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and really great lineup. You can check it out online. One I'm really excited about, we have a local horror comedy anthology called Scare Package, was shot here, and we're gonna have a bunch of people from the film here, and check it out and buy a badge. There's still some available. And
website, what's the website?
Otherworldsfilmfest.com.
And Twitter, social media, are you guys?
I think we're just at Otherworlds ATX.
Okay. And it all goes down at the Galaxy Theater.
Galaxy Highland, one of the oldest theaters in Austin. But a good theater.
Yes, it is.
Great theater. Yeah.
I saw Force Awakens the day it came out at 8:15 in the morning at that theater. So
they added a very good beer and wine selection in the last year.
So, oh, wow.
As is the move. All these archaic franchises are having to adopt it. That is the biggest box of Chinese food.
But see, it wasn't a box of Chinese food. It's establishing, the connection. Like, I can goof around with my kid.
All right, so we're seeing already here we're on the set of a Nightmare movie. And I forgot we're introduced this quickly to Miko Hughes. Obviously, we needed to pay mine to Heather Langenkamp, who, my God, aged very well.
Still looks great today.
Yeah. Does she do much of a convention circuit?
I think so. Her thing is
the big ones.
She's actually not the guy who's playing her, but she's been married for a long, long time to a guy who was a special effects guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think their career now is they just have like a special effects and makeup house out in LA. And I think she kind of transitioned into doing that.
Julio, before I go back to you, while I'm still on the Miko Hughes train of thought.
Spawns Miko Hughes.
Really?
Yeah.
Also in Mercury Rising.
Oh yeah,
he's the kid from Mercury Rising.
Yeah. And I wasn't Pet Cemetery his
Pet
breakout.
Cemetery when he was like maybe 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah. So he was set to take over the world, and that did not come to fruition.
I mean, he had a
good run,
a career. I'm sure he still gets royalties.
And he probably, like, having done horror movies like all those guys, probably works the convention circuit.
I thought you were gonna say like all these guys. He's had a well-adjusted childhood, having grown up around all this stuff.
Well, Mercury Rising, that's Bruce Willis and Alec Baldwin, right?
Yeah.
And he plays an autistic kid in that movie, which
he discovers the code that the NSA creates.
That's
in like a highlights magazine, and Alec Baldwin decides they have to kill him.
Always a good idea too.
And Bruce Willis is like, no, I can't let that happen.
The 90s were wild.
And along the way, Miko Hughes and Bruce Willis, they teach each other something about themselves.
I just remember the poster is it's Mercury Rising in huge block letters, and the color palette is blue, and he's got him like nestled into his bosom.
Yep. Why we would remember the promotional art for that, I don't know. So this is like, I remember like the famous like 94 earthquake in LA happened, I guess, when they were shooting this. So they decided to like work it into the script.
Well, they really work it, because I finally watched this movie for the first time a few days ago.
I was about to lead into that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
stole my thunder.
Sorry. I just, because the earthquake thing, it's so pervasive throughout the movie. It's almost like as big a threat as Freddy.
Yeah. And it's one of those, it's kind of the happy accident of it happened in real life, and it works into the story.
Isn't there a part like the house, there's stress fractures in the house that are in the pattern of the claw? Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it's kind of one of those happy accidents.
Who's homeboy here? The husband, is he of any note?
I don't know off the
Who's
top of my
this
head.
stud?
He doesn't hang around long,
so
spoiler. Sorry,
Julio. We watched the original for the podcast. Was that your first time seeing the original? I can't remember.
No, it was my second time watching it beginning to end.
And you committed to it after this when we decided we're going to do this commentary track. You watched 2 and 3.
Yes, because you told me Heather Langenkamp was the star in this one, and so I felt that at least I owed it to myself and to her to watch the other Nightmare movies that she'd been in. Which would have been the third one. But then I didn't want to jump into the third one, not having watched the second one. So I watched Frey's Revenge and then Dream Warriors and then this one. And I'll tell you right off the bat, like my main takeaway is that she is a much better actress in this movie than she was in the other two, which makes sense because she's older. And I guess she had, time to hone her craft.
The first movie, I think, was her like first role ever.
Warm Milk.
I think
Gross.
I know it was Johnny Depp's first, but
Yeah, she didn't get an introducing Heather Langenkamp, but maybe they can only introduce one person at once, and they pick Johnny Depp.
So obviously Reid wasn't here to discuss the original. He's a massive Nightmare fan.
I do enjoy this series, but can also admit its flaws, like we were talking beforehand. Like 5 does nothing for me, and I really hate 6.
And for context also, since we are the contrarians, where we always bring up Rotten Tomatoes, this is 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is, aside from the original, I imagine the most highly ranked.
Yeah, Roger Ebert gave this a good review.
The original was 94%.
Yeah.
The original is a very, very good movie.
But I think you could even agree, having Johnny Depp in that distracts from, or draws attention to how awful everyone else is from an acting perspective. Even his like autopilot at age 19 was still vastly superior to almost everyone else. Who got top billing? Who was the cop?
John Saxon. Don't you dare talk shit.
I was going to say, he's clearly the most polished in that movie, and arguably this.
That's why they brought him back
Saxon
in this
is a
one.
national treasure.
John Saxon is great, but
and he shows up a bit later in this.
Yeah.
So
As John Saxon.
As John,
would you two agree that that she's much better in this movie?
Yeah, well,
Okay,
she's better in 3 than she is in 1, and she's better.
Right, there's
here
a
than
progression.
she had
Yeah.
had a decade to separate
she
this.
She had these movies. She was on a sitcom in the late 80s, early 90s, but I think that was really kind of about it.
It's a weird hill to die on, the Nightmare franchise. But as we've seen,
I mean, if
all
this is the
jesting
last
aside,
movie-
yeah, like as we've seen, these people that are in these horror franchises can put their kids through colleges based on that alone. So.
Yeah. A lot of them were talking about when they would start to come out on DVD, the introduction to the DVD format. They're like, I'm getting all these royalty checks now. For this thing that I did 20 years ago.
What was that? We were talking about something recently where my whole explanation for, I forget what the movie was, but talking about people going for it is that still to this day it's pervasive in the sense of a slasher franchise. If you can get in when it starts and give your all and latch onto that, there's still money to be made with that. Like, I don't fucking the people whose careers were made by Saw that will never act in anything else. It's pretty impressive. Oh, there we go.
There it is.
It's a lot of establishing dialogue.
Well, you kind of have to set up.
Why did you have a cup of coffee?
And why? I mean, she has this very nice house in Beverly Hills, and she paid money for that frame.
So the thing here is that she's being, in real life, she's having these calls, right? Like she has a stalker, sort of.
Yes.
Yeah. And watching the original on.
That kid can scream.
That kid is Miko Hughes.
Miko Hughes can scream. So I was wondering, how much of this reflects her real life? How much of the real life inspiration there was in this?
Dude.
Because once I found out that
she did have a stalker for a couple of years.
I mean, that would make sense. But also, once I found out that she really did have a special effects company, it was like, man, how much of it really is there?
I think Wes Craven, his thing was he took a lot of like their real life. Supposedly, if I remember correctly, she wanted the guy who she's actually married to play her husband in the film, but he was just a special effects guy. He's like, I'm not an actor. I don't want to do this.
Wes Craven, on the other hand, had no reservations playing himself.
She married Kirk from the original Texas Chainsaw. Hey, guys. So obviously the whole idea of this movie is pretty, I don't want to use the term groundbreaking, but pretty out of left field for 1994.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's not really too many, meta is the term we like to use these days.
It's meta with a capital M.
And then took kind of the same thing and did Scream 2 years later and made $100 million. And this did not.
Did it flop?
It didn't flop.
It opened the same day that Pulp Fiction did. And
oh no!
That
made its budget back.
Nobody knew Pulp Fiction was going to be what it was, but yeah.
Budget was $8 million.
Look at that 90s outfit.
The box office was
the baggy sweater, the skirt.
A hair under 20 million.
It's working for me.
There you go. See, Julie, brand new character. We'll never see her again. Not in this movie. Like,
what's the highest grossing slasher movie ever? Is it The First Friday?
It's gotta be the first
Scream. Yeah.
I would think. I think even if you adjust for inflation and everything, it's gotta be that.
Well, if you adjust for inflation, it's Gone with the Wind. But
that classic 3-hour slasher.
I still love, like, complete sidebar, but that is adjusted for inflation. It's still pretty close to the top of the list.
Not Titanic.
I mean, Titanic's up there, but the money Gone with the Wind made was insane.
So I really want to know, and I wonder if there's like interviews. I'm sure there are.
No, Joker's the highest grossing horror movie ever.
And this is slasher too. How much of this reflects real life in the sense that, according to this movie, all the original Nightmare crew are pretty tight. She's friends with Robert Englund. She's friends with John Saxon.
They all kind of hang out.
Except for Johnny Depp.
Except for Johnny Depp, exactly. So,
well, there's I think the thing was they have a bunch of them in when her husband dies, spoiler. They have the funeral scene, and they have a lot of quick shots of people, and it's like random cast members from the old ones who they don't have any lines, but it's kind of the thing to like establish that sense of community.
Patricia Arquette.
And Wes Craven wanted to ask Johnny Depp to be in it, but he was too nervous. And then like Wes Craven told the story years later that they ran into each other and got to talking, and he told him that, and Johnny Depp was like, I would have done it.
Well, it's good to know that, because I was wondering
that paid
if Johnny
off
Depp
for the people that made 21 Jump Street, because they got him in there.
Because Johnny Depp does a cameo in Nightmare 6. That's kind of like a self-parody thing, and if he would do that,
why wouldn't he be in a much better movie?
Wes Craven coming back to it.
Even if they just acknowledge it you don't have to show him, but if they just said something that acknowledged that Johnny Depp wasn't there, it's like, oh yeah, he's off shooting
Nick of Time.
Yeah.
So based on quick research, I can't find an adjusted for inflation top 10 list or whatever, but just based off box office revenue, the 2018 Halloween is the highest grossing slasher, but
of course,
but Scream is number 2. Yeah. Even still, by the money they made then, it was over 100 million.
So this guy,
oh my, agent from limo driver. Okay, I was like, this is the most central casting agent ever.
Yeah, this limo driver,
he was the last cut for the Frasier role on Cheers.
He's a little too much in the context of real world.
Dude,
but
classic early 90s, the really cocky gum chewing. That's a staple of any sleaze bag you don't want to be anywhere near.
The slicked back hair. Yeah.
But it's like, is this like, are limo drivers like really this brazen in LA? Like, he has no boundaries.
I've never had a limo ride, so I can't personally attest to it.
I think we would have to get friend of the podcast, Chris Lemche, on the phone to get answers on that.
He's high life.
Probably in a limo as we speak.
Yeah, because I imagine you pay good money for the limo, and it's not so that this douchebag can just like yap at you.
This
entire ride.
So this is interesting. She's on, like, I guess this is supposed to be a daytime talk show.
With all the gotcha questions.
Yeah.
The dude's hair too.
This is
little kids.
Really funny. Yeah, all the Freddy, but it's also some very, very small studio audience. So I'm guessing this is like local syndication. This isn't national.
Reid, do you have any insight? More about this shit than I do about why these movies from the early to mid 90s all, no matter what facet you watch it on, all look like VHS. Like, it's this really weird time period where even if it's on Blu-ray, it still has that kind of fuzzy feel to it.
Are you including this one?
Yeah, like it feels like it may just be the color palettes they chose to use.
The color and the transfer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything back then was shot on film, so I don't know.
I was gonna say this looks so much better than
I do
2 and 3, but that's the 80s.
Maybe that's the thing.
No actor has ever gotten that one role and enjoyed it as much as Robert Englund has enjoyed his career.
This is great. I just love what they do with Robert Englund here.
It's great because he's like hamming it up here and kind of making fun of what Freddy became, but it's also, I think Robert Englund so enjoyed getting to do that in the movies that, you know,
yeah,
he's one of those guys I would like to meet, but he's apparently quite expensive to book or get like a photo with or something.
Get 30 seconds to talk to him.
But then you know, once he gets
Their
off the Freddy makeup,
buy them the mask. They just got them the shitty sweaters.
I do. Obviously, it doesn't pick up on the commentary track, but if you're watching this, we just went through possibly my favorite part of the movie, which is the daytime talk show version of the Nightmare on Elm Street theme. That's like the funky jazzed up version.
The jazzy, the Donahue theme. Yeah.
Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about. Like, once he's not Freddy, I really like how he plays himself. It's just like this really down-to-earth guy.
By every account, Robert Englund is like the nicest celebrity you can meet. So I think that's true.
You just have to pay top dollar.
You do have to pay top dollar. Yeah.
He knows his worth. What can he say?
I'm Freddy.
Yeah, I mean, God bless him. I mean, wouldn't you charge for that if you got that?
So I'm still stuck on this film thing, and I'm starting to think it's
it's your eyes.
It's like they're like we're all answering this question for me. Maybe it's because there was like the use of better lighting and shit, and so it looked the transitional period from the late 80s to mid 90s was different. It just always plays tricks on my mind, I think, or my.
I mean, a lot of these weren't big budget movies either, so. So this thing, she's like, oh, it's Sarah from New Line Entertainment. Like this kind of stuff you're talking about wasn't, you know, the thing yet for the self-referential, like The Player. I think was maybe kind of the first to where
the precursor to New Nightmare.
Yeah, but
see,
like
this is
like we're going to talk about the actual studios and people and how.
This is where my heart sank a little bit because you know we got back to the limo driver. I was like, fuck, he's gonna be around the entire movie. But thankfully, that's the last time we see him.
He had a whole subplot, but they were like, this is running too long. We got to get one more show a day.
As much as we like the Freddy kill of the limo driver. All right, so do you think this is really Sarah from New Line? Or is it an actress playing?
No, I think it is, because I know Bob Shea plays himself.
Yeah.
Because of course he does.
The mythical Bob Shea, the man responsible for the shitty ending in the original Nightmare.
Yep, and that thing made $30 million in 1984 and created New Line. So
it's like, damn right I'm playing myself.
The man all you want. But.
As I mentioned on the episode, they call it the house that Freddy built.
Yeah, and he was on the stage when Lord of the Rings won Best Picture.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
He's definitely a better actor than Wes Craven, I would say, just based on this movie. Because on this scene, I wasn't sure if that was Bob Shea. I was like,
it doesn't work in the current era.
What, the low cut top on the girl delivering coffee?
Yeah. When it stand in a
since you want to be a star, don't you?
Weinstein world.
I do love the addressing this movie. Basically, just concedes. Well, as long as you fuckers are paying to see it, we're never going to kill off the main guy.
So do you think again? I just can't
notice
get
the Warhol of Freddy Krueger in the background.
I want that above my bed.
So do you think that this is also again like some sort of like mirror image of
I hope
that?
That still is like in Bob Shea's office today, next to the Best Picture Oscar for Return of the King. Sorry, what were you saying, Julio?
Oh well, you know. So basically, he's explaining, given this movie's version of how sort of this movie came to be.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, I can't get past like how much is this supposed to be imitating real life? As far as like, is Wes Craven kind of like that kind of guy? He just goes to bed, has a weird dream, and he's like, I must make another nightmare.
No, I think this is a lot of him venting his frustrations too. I mean, it's well documented. The only reason he came back to do Scream 3 was so that New Line would let him make that movie with Meryl Streep. Miramax?
Miramax, yeah.
Oh, I'm
Music
sorry.
of the
New
Heart,
Line.
yeah.
Yeah. Miramax did the first 3
For
Screams.
this one, I'm not sure of what led him back to it. I know Wes Craven had a famously kind of up and down career. But I know he's very candid about how he feels about the Nightmare sequels that he wasn't involved in. They have like that they have that multi-hour Friday the 13th documentary. There's also one about the Nightmare franchise, and he's obviously a big part of it. And it's just kind of barely restrained contempt when they're asking him about like the sequels and how they changed the Freddy character. So and I think there was also an issue of like he felt he was owed a lot more money than he was, and but he ended up coming back for this.
So this
You
is
said the limo driver, that was his last appearance.
Oh,
but
fuck.
Here he is,
I
so,
forgot about that.
Yeah.
He gets
You
sniped right
you
here.
can edit that out later.
This is the last one. I
He
promise.
opens the door and Freddy just
Wait, did Miramax do Scream 4 also?
whatever version of Miramax.
I was about to say, is
existed at that
Miramax
time.
still a thing anymore?
No.
We're about
What?
to get another Miko Hughes Oscar clip.
God, I keep getting hung up on these things because I thought it wasn't New Line. I remember the Dimension,
Dimension was like
the bumper on the front of
Miramax's,
Scream 1.
like a genre arm.
Okay.
So yeah.
Point of my story was Wes Craven does these things to get himself to the next beat. The reason he did Scream 3 was, what was the movie he made with Meryl Streep?
Music of the Heart.
Yes. So it's possible that he wrote this out of contempt for the entire idea of the genre.
That's a shame because I was kind of hoping that this was sort of a passion project, like his way of kind of leaving the Elm Street franchise on a high note.
Whatever it
I
is,
think
it's
this
way
was-
ahead.
I think this was like the exact circumstances, and I mean, like most things, there probably was money involved, but I think this was a thing of like him coming back to kind of set it right, at least how he saw it.
Whatever he thought or did, this movie, I think we can all agree, is pretty far ahead of its time.
Yeah, I do like
Minus Miko Hughes.
Miko Hughes is of his time. He's like
who played Anakin Skywalker?
Jake Lloyd,
I just imagine there's
poor
this
bastard.
contingent of horror fans that treat Miko Hughes as Jake Lloyd.
Oh, that's unfair. Do you
no.
really? I mean,
No, I jest.
I was gonna say
'Cause
I think he does okay.
I'm pretty sure Miko Hughes still gladly does convention circuits and things. Jake Lloyd, I remember Golson had a very apt analysis of Jake Lloyd's life. He's like, I've always had a hard time criticizing him for being the failing point of episode 1 because I never can imagine what it would be like to be 12 years old and being told you're the worst part of the worst thing
He
ever.
was just a kid.
Yeah.
It's kind of fucked up.
I like that Golson has reached a level of mythology in our show that you don't even introduce him. You don't, even with Reid, you say friend of the podcast, former guest Reid Lanford, but with Golson, you just say Golson.
Well, Golson, truth be told, he's an acknowledged critic.
Highest profile person we know in this podcast. So
I don't know about that. I'm friends with Matt
Lemchi.
Riddle. Yeah. Lemchi.
To circle back, like with Wes Craven directing Music of the Heart, I like the idea of, Meryl Streep was interested in the project and Wes Craven being attached as director, and like the idea of like the actor being like, well, what have you done? What can I and so Meryl Streep going and renting Nightmare on Elm Street and watching it to get an idea of like,
With the whole,
who's this guy who wants to work with me?
just watching it with the Lenny, the tip of the fingers in front of the mouth, watching it. I've never even seen that movie. My understanding is it's very, very okay.
It's good.
It's perfectly
Yeah,
fine
yeah.
for a Wes Craven drama.
I'm sorry, when your name's Wes Craven and you're in filmmaking, you're not going to do anything but horror movies. That's just the way it goes.
He kind of just got into that because he was a philosophy major and author, and really, really fascinating guy.
He's talented, and
Yeah.
from a filmmaking perspective, though, that was not too long ago. I think it was on the original Nightmare episode, and fortunately, I have Reid here to back me up. His first movie that he gets all the praise for is Last House on the Left, which I do not find to be a redeeming film in any facets.
Me either.
I haven't seen it. I told you, I've only seen the remake.
There are many other movies I would tell you to watch before you watch that movie.
It is at this point that I have
This
to
for one.
I have to praise Heather Langenkamp again because we're like we don't have the sound like really turned up, and just her facial expressions are on point every time that they cut back to her. I think it's just so much better than she was before.
We always use the phrase, or at least I do, polished, and that's how she comes across here. Polished actress,
like she's an actress.
Yeah.
So how weird must it be? I mean, I'm assuming she was already married because you said that she wanted her husband to play the husband role here, right?
Wes Craven was like, "Oh, can he do it?" And the guy was just like, "Yeah, I'm not going to do this."
But it's still really weird to be in a movie where
my name can't be on this.
Your fictional husband gets murdered pretty horribly. I'm assuming she didn't have any kids yet, or maybe she did.
Yeah, Miko Hughes.
He's her real kid.
There's always something very admirable about stage kids. Like, I always think it's so fun to watch the kids that think if they emote very like broadly.
Acting.
Yeah, exactly. There's
and most of them were just unbelievable little shits.
Oh yeah,
too.
That's you mentioned it a few breaths ago, that not Nightmare, but the Friday the 13th, the comprehensive documentary on the first 8 or whatever. The dude who played Jason in part 4 just talked about what a little shit that Corey Feldman was and just unbearable to work with. And every time he got a hold of him, he thought about really killing him.
And that was even before Goonies, before he like had some stroke to where he could act like that. Yeah. So.
But see, that obviously doesn't keep you from getting work because, I mean, Corey Feldman went on to, make even more movies.
He had a few years before the bottom fell out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was the Lost Boys? This is diverted into Corey Feldman talk now. Was Lost Boys, the last of it? As far as mainstream,
License to Drive was after Lost Boys.
That was both Corey's, right?
That was both. That was kind of like getting De Niro and Pacino together in that era.
That was their righteous kill.
Yeah.
Well, so I mean, I was saying it because obviously Miko Hughes made a bunch of movies after this, but that doesn't mean that he was just a joy to work with. He could have been just another little asshole like Corey Feldman.
I was just generalizing. I don't know about Miko Hughes. Could be a very nice young man. I don't know.
He seems like an adorable kid in this movie, but
he definitely also seems like someone who, all due respect, peaked as a kid. Like who was the little boy in Jerry Maguire? Jonathan Lipnicki.
But Miko Hughes had several movies. That kid, I think, had Jerry Maguire.
Well, he did Home Alone 4, I think. Wasn't he the new Kevin?
So he had Jerry Maguire.
He made an attempt.
That's what happens, though. That really does. Like it's proven that like some kids are great actors as little kids, and then they just kind of grow up and they're not good at it anymore.
He's starting to fall asleep.
Here we go.
This freaked me out.
So this is kind of thing like my.
Is that a Bronco? No, it's okay.
This has never been my favorite Nightmare movie, and I think apart from what I remember from when I was a kid, is it starts too slow. It's like we're half an hour in.
But the stuff that's happening, at least I find interesting. The whole like behind the scenes of Heather Langkamp's life.
Yeah. It's a lot of first acts.
Yeah.
Was this one syndicated? I didn't remember seeing this on TV when I was a kid.
It aired on TNT had the rights to this one because it was like the latter day New Line, so they ran it a lot.
Dude, this is me driving back from Dallas.
I was about
listening to REM.
Singing, trying to keep myself awake. Does he slap himself in the face? I don't remember because I certainly do that.
When I drove back from Dallas after a WWE pay-per-view in 2017, this was very much me. I had to pull over at a rest stop and like run laps around my car for like 20 minutes to wake myself up.
I think I had a close call once, and then I was like, fuck it. From now on, I'll find the next gas station or HEB or whatever and just like take a nap in the parking lot.
Oh, I'm not that big of a heathen.
What do you do?
After that, I get a hotel room like an adult.
Oh, no.
I run myself a nice bath. And then I grab a bunch of shit from the breakfast bar the next morning and then go for it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, this shocked me because I really didn't think they were going to kill her husband.
I love that last shot of him looking at his,
know yet.
At his chest. Hey, what's going on?
Yeah. and I think it was just that logic of there's no way that she would let her husband die in a movie that's sort of based on her life. But
yeah, maybe that freaked the real life guy out. It's like, no, this is just too
close to home.
Yeah.
At the same time, you know.
Ooh, a scrunchie. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
A lot of good early 90s fashion going on here.
So this
A lot of plants in that house.
one of the big questions I had during this movie, as far as procedure goes, because these cops are like,
Oh, that Hitchcock.
the cops are like, you don't need to see the body. It's okay, ma'am. It's like, no, you have to, right? You have to identify it. You can't just like take their word for it.
You see the face. I think isn't the thing like she pulls the sheet back.
No.
to
This
reveal
cop, the cop that's here at the house, he's like, no, ma'am, you don't need to see him.
Chase Porter.
Was Chase Porter your husband?
Nico Hughes just watching his mom get ready to go to the club, standing in the back there.
It's worse than that, ma'am. Just say he's dead. Don't pussyfoot around anymore.
Where's the babysitter?
Well, they were home, so he was asleep and she passed out on the couch.
She really wasn't going out to the club, Alex.
She's a mother.
Clubbing days are long past. Okay, see, here it comes. Like, that's a perfectly reasonable request. It's like, he doesn't get to make that call.
It's true. How are you going to identify him?
Yeah.
Dental records.
Yeah, but still, I thought it was just proper procedure to just next of kin gets to look at the body and say, yeah, that's him.
I fortunately have never been in that situation, but I mean, I know it's in every movie.
I know things the movies have taught me.
And that we just got bodies lying in the hallway unattended.
In Water for Elephants, they pull Robert Pattinson away from his college exam to say, "Are these your parents? They're dead."
Yeah.
Is that like the Saw?
The Saw?
That whatever that sound is. Like, yeah, we're just working late tonight.
Yeah, this
Dude
also
chomping
feels
on
weird.
this cigar. Never gets any easier.
Again, I would imagine you have somebody to escort you to the body. You shouldn't just
they
wander off.
This walks in and just this open carcass. Isn't this guy eating? Isn't that part of his deal?
That's one of the oldest. The coroner who's like, so matter of fact that he's, having a sandwich.
He's annoyed with the whole process.
No, actually, this guy is pretty sympathetic. I like him. He gets one of the lines from the movie, like the line.
Are these your husband's feet?
Yep.
Oh no, this is Chase Potter.
Oh, I'm sorry we woke you up, ma'am.
The jars of just floating viscera in the background are quite disconcerting.
I think it says protocol is you only get to see him once.
Sign here.
Yeah. Here's your copy.
Initial in
I really
triplicate.
I like how they all kind of like tiptoe around how badly the body's mangled. Was when she's like, I saw claw marks.
I know. I love how they're trying to keep away from her the fact that
I think it was a bad wreck, Mom.
The head's going to be all right for the funeral. That's really the thing you want to hear.
That's some awesome acting from her. But see, no, this guy has a heart. And I think, what is it that he says? It's the things that we don't see that keep us, to let us sleep at night or something.
the truck must have tore him up in a very garden hoe-like fashion.
It was the hood ornament. It hit him at just the right angle. I mean, we're going to get to that.
This guy, I mean, if it's eligible, he gets the supporting player Embry.
I don't know, man. He's got
he's a human being.
He's got the Creed copy toner black hair. It's pretty noticeable.
Oh, I'm on the new Nightmare movie.
She needs no clearance to get in and out
So
of.
here, I'm going to try and see who I recognize from. Okay, so
I
obviously,
saw that they were doing close-ups of random people I didn't recognize. So
it's kind of like the last episode of The West Wing where John Spencer was dead, and they brought back like everyone for the funeral. Okay, so Bob Shea, England, Tuesday Night on the left from Part 4.
For the people not watching
Wes,
it, I just
John
want to make shit
Saxon,
up. Like,
who was
the
that guy?
from the first one? Tony
That's the guy that dies in
jail.
In jail.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's wearing a leather jacket to a funeral? Very
Man, they
considerate.
didn't even give him a line. That guy just
I
gets
think
those
it's
two
more
close-ups.
of like a
a nod.
a wink for if you're a fan.
I just wanted to like make up shit for the people that aren't actually watching this as a commentary track. Be like, Dom DeLuise, what the fuck?
It would be pretty horrible if you had the Weinstein brothers in the background.
Oh God. Harvey Weinstein just rubbing the shoulders of Heather Langenkamp.
Rising star.
It's gonna be okay. Oh, dude. Yeah. Okay. So this begins the discussion of
New Freddy.
the new Freddy look. Reid, you say you don't like it.
It's too rubbery. It looks too makeup-y. I don't know.
So
I like it. He looks remastered. You know, like when you play
80s, give me 80s putty on the face.
But I think it marks the difference. You know, like when you play a Super Nintendo game of a franchise that you'd only play on the NES, and you're like, oh, this looks different, but you know,
it went
fresh.
from 8 to 16.
Oh, there's Homeboy.
Yeah.
Look at that rug.
She has no parents, but she has John Saxon on the scene.
That is a Brillo pad that's been spray painted. No,
There's movies going back to like the 70s where he's like completely bald and not wearing anything. So that's the bet. Like he kept it up for decades.
My thought is
okay. Yeah. So I'm sorry. I'm trying to see if I spot anyone else.
All the way in the back, probably they have the later sequel guys. It's also, you know, kind of brave from Robert Englund to play himself in this sort of movie because, you know, yeah, we were talking about how he looks really nice, like really down to earth and everything. But he also, as the movie goes on, he gets a little creepy. And so now it's just his own public persona that he's putting out there as being, you know, creepy.
The image obviously worked. The entire poster for Natural Born Killers was just Woody Harrelson cosplaying as him in this movie. My thing with Freddy is it's obvious that they wanted to intensify his look and make him scarier because he's supposed to be entering the real world.
And it's the idea of he's this demon, this spirit. But,
yeah.
I don't know. It's not my favorite look.
I mean, I think it's like a nice middle of the way
before
you get to the remake.
Oh yeah,
Freddy,
cut me off of that bullshit.
That's far and away the worst. Yeah.
He can still emote.
Completely misses the point. Making him look like an actual burn victim is
Because that's fun. That's what
that
you want to
movie.
go and see.
Nico Hughes,
In
brilliant
trance.
acting.
That was
Mom,
me.
you haven't aged a day.
Me is at that age watching the Scrambled Spice channel.
I wonder if this is like a tape or if it's just like airing. Because she shouldn't have turned it off because she's getting money every time it airs.
Well,
Where's he
I mean,
going?
actually, isn't it revealed in a minute that the TV is unplugged? So it's just Freddy cable.
Every time I watch that shot, it plays my mind every time because I think he's gonna rear back and just deck her in the face. Leave me alone.
It's probably the creepiest thing out of all the nightmares.
The song?
The song, yeah, I think as a running theme, and when it resurfaces in this one, that was pretty cool.
Didn't we talking about when we did the original one that like Wes Craven's kid or some shit came up with the song for it? It was some like, I don't know.
It was based on some children's rhyme that they just.
Okay, so I think that this is. She's about to take him to the doctor, and if she's not, this is when I started thinking, okay, you should have taken him to the doctor already. Because he's had at least one seizure.
It wasn't plugged in. How was it playing something?
Telling you, Freddy Vision.
TV needs electricity.
It's a big bed. It's missing one person.
She's a big movie star.
But you know what I mean? Like, she's making the mistake that the other Nightmare characters made in the movies, which is not taking your kid to the doctor when you should. Though I guess at least she's taking the kid seriously, so.
How old would she have been at this point? Early 30s, I guess?
Mid-late 30s, probably.
What's,
You know, this is not a love letter to the Nightmare franchise. It's a love letter to Heather Langenkamp.
I thought you were gonna say Miko Hughes. It's like
that needs to be.
It's a PS.
That needs to be the screen cap y'all use with Miko Hughes saying, "Why does God let bad things happen?" Because that's just kind of an evergreen.
Hashtag election 2020. And then it leads into her getting the single tear shot. So,
is this her Oscar clip? Her comforting her son.
Oh man, I feel like she has something that comes later that's a bit more powerful.
I mean, she's had like a couple of high points already.
When was Jason Goes to Hell? Was that around this time?
93, year before this.
Okay.
And it ended with Freddy
the
pulling
right.
So, and they tried for took them a decade to get it made.
Because they were trying even before then.
Oh yeah, they
To
tried
make
in
it.
the 80s, but
Yeah.
Paramount and New Line were neither one wanted to give
Put
up
the other
money.
one over.
Yeah. Well,
Is it-
even in the final version that we got, you know, they got kind of the
dusty
double count
finish.
out. Yeah.
But it is Freddy v. Jason, not Jason v. Freddy.
Well, Freddy versus Jason sounds better.
It
Yeah.
does.
It rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Siskel and Ebert versus Ebert and Siskel. Siskel and Ebert sounded better.
This is a really good scene. And this is John Saxon's probably Oscar clip.
His supporting actor.
Everything
Yeah.
John Saxon has ever done is his Oscar clip.
It's lifetime achievement.
What we did a movie recently where like someone was in the movie for like 5 minutes total and got an Oscar nomination out of it. I'm trying to remember what it was. And that would be him in this case.
It's probably Shakespeare in Love.
Yes.
Judi Dench.
Judi Dench. That's exactly what it was.
She
Yep.
won for that.
Yeah, and she's in the movie for like 6 minutes.
John Saxon for New
Beatrice Straight
Nightmare.
has one scene in Network, and she won an Oscar.
Who does?
From Network,
Yeah.
she's William Holden's wife.
Oh yeah, she only has that
the
one, but it's a long
where
scene.
They break up,
Right, yeah.
and she won an Oscar. For
Okay,
that.
that's a hell of a scene though.
Anyway, back to New Nightmare.
I was about to say Daniel Stern has that one scene in Diner that he should have won an Oscar for.
I don't remember.
Have you seen Diner?
I've seen Diner.
The
I
one
remember
where he
Paul
yells
Reiser.
at her about his records. That's the best scene in that movie.
So this is pretty cool, and that she's talking to John Saxon, but at the same time, it kind of highlights the fact that like she goes to John Saxon for this. Like, are they that close? Is this like the next person on the
For
like?
the
I mean, for the conceit of the
convenience of the
movie,
script,
right?
yeah.
I understand, but it kind of highlights. I don't know if it's intentionally or unintentionally how lonely her life must be. You know, it's like your husband dies, and then the next person you go to is the guy that you
she's
started.
hanging out with all these B and C list actors.
So much so that you're not paying attention to your child climbing up this giant apparatus.
It's Entourage, but with below the title.
Dude, how awesome would it be? Like Wes Craven's Entourage, and you have John Saxon.
In the Jeremy Piven role.
No, Craven would be on the Jeremy Piven role. John Saxon would be like one of the.
Why would they make a children's
That
play
would be
set.
welded shut.
Yes.
Yeah, you couldn't do that. I mean, if that was real, she would have a hell of a lawsuit on her hands.
Might have been
America.
worth it to let him fall.
Yeah.
Oh, the payoff as to why he's climbing is really good. And she has one of my favorite Heather Langenkamp moments is coming up. I think it's right after this.
Oh yeah, because they have the.
I'm fairly confident.
Oh, it already happened.
Both
Never mind.
Reid and I had that exact same outfit as kids growing up in the 90s. Julio grew up in the mid 60s, so
I just had a
He had a
loincloth.
version
Yeah.
of it.
I love this. It's clearly a grown man falling through the air.
Call the lawyers.
Would have been great just because they're doing the slow motion, like John Dillon or John Saxon just shoves her down and like dives in to catch her.
His toupee just kind of like flapping in the wind.
That's heavy. He said God wouldn't take me.
Like those
Uh-huh.
mom jeans.
God damn. That is like that SNL skit, Mom Jeans.
There is a moment, we missed it, but there is a moment that in that conversation with John Saxon where she laughs at something and it's just so natural. You know, because it's a pretty heavy conversation and then he makes a joke and she makes a joke back and she laughs. I don't remember what it is, but that.
I was going to point out when she was getting the mail, true, like the keystone of being a rich person is having the mailbox that's cemented into the ground.
That's when you know you've made it.
It's a brick and mortar around it. It's not just a tin box on a stick in the ground.
Yeah, I
Is
mean,
this
if this movie is to
Craven's
be
house?
believed, she banked.
Oh yeah, I mean, understandably so.
No, that's
Oh,
Robert Englund's castle.
just answers it like go. Yeah, it's Heather Langenkamp. I know.
He's
Oh yeah, it's the stalker subplot.
right, but
I can't remember. Does that turn out to be Freddy like doing it in the real world, or
I don't think it has a payoff.
because I think the original thing was it was supposed to be her babysitter.
Oh no, that's
was
not
the
what
one.
happens.
And
No.
yeah, that's
Oh, no,
not in the
yeah.
that's not in the final movie, but apparently that was in some draft of the
She
script.
gets diced up.
God, Bob Englund just so cultured.
But that's the thing. When the big reveal of what he's been painting is just amazing. But
Oh
it
yeah,
also-
I remember that. Yeah,
Look at the lust in his eyes
the lust.
for himself. He's
Oh.
looking at a painting of
Okay.
himself.
we don't know that yet.
I thought
Oh.
that you were implying that he was getting off on talking to Heather Langenkamp on the
No.
phone.
He expected the call.
Just like blows her off later. Just. But yeah, then there's this depiction of Wes
It's
Craven
like
as this weirdo that, you know, just kind of works on his screenplays with no plan whatsoever. He got everybody worked up about a new Nightmare movie, and it turns out he doesn't even know how the movie ends.
The extended cut of this is him with the boombox at his ear and just throwing paint all over different statues and whatnot.
Robert Englund. Insane.
Like that. Heather's the we can't talk over the phone. You know, they just cut to like the van parked across the street from her house. Freddy's in the back with the styrofoam cup of coffee listening.
Freddie and Robert Shea.
He's got the one headphone up to the ear.
The huge pit sweat stains just been there clearly for days.
What's the
Who
implication
knew he
of
was
this?
so talented?
Because this is the last we see of Robert Englund, right? Like next time she tries to contact him, he's
It's
like,
haunting him too. He's just reacting to it differently.
right? So it's not. But I thought the explanation was that he was trying
doesn't
to.
he show up in the movie again?
Well, as Freddy.
Freddy.
Well, but doesn't Robert Englund show up?
No, I think that next time she tries to contact him, he's like she gets a machine that says that he's out of town.
Oh, did Freddy kill Robert Englund? That'd be some crazy shit.
If you were gonna do that, you have to put that
Show
scene
it,
in
right?
the movie.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm not afraid of you. I thought that kid was wearing a blazer for a second, then he turned around.
England v. England. Dawn of Justice.
No. Reid still has heat with you for that movie.
Did they do the push through the wall thing?
Oh, I don't remember. I remember that being one of my major points of contention with the remake was they CG'd that film.
How shitty it looks.
Yeah.
Whereas in the first one, it's a guy pressing against latex or whatever, and it looks amazing.
What's the Michael J. Fox movie that was the VHS cover of?
The Frighteners.
Thank you. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
You didn't get to part 4.
No.
Right? They do a scene in part 4 where like the girl is on a beach. Like she thinks like, oh, I'm in a good dream now. She's relaxing on a beach. And like the glove comes out of the water like a shark fin and races towards the beach.
Does it do a variation of the shark, with the Jaws theme?
No, it doesn't. But Freddy chases her onto the beach and puts on sunglasses at one point. So.
Of course.
Through the looking glass.
And he says, I don't know.
See, I like
SPF 50, bitch.
It's weird. I like it, the look of the glove with like the bone exposed and everything, but the face just doesn't work for me. I don't know why.
That's a pretty cool reveal. The shredded sheets.
It's an old lady's nightgown.
She lost her husband, Reid.
God.
Listen, we've been commenting on her wardrobe the entire movie, so we're not going to stop now.
I mean, that TV setup in the background is deliciously 90s.
Why is her bedroom so big?
So open.
Yeah.
No privacy. What's your favorite Freddy kill? How about that, Reid?
It's got to be Tina in the first one. I mean, that's the most iconic.
It gets a callback in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then part 3, the girl getting her head shoved through the TV set's a good time.
Prime time.
Welcome to prime time, bitch.
I mean, those are the most like iconic ones.
What? Nancy's mom at the end of the first one, where it's clearly the blow-up doll
The
being
blow-up
pulled.
doll being pulled into the... And you know what? That ending made them $30 million in 1984.
This is pretty awesome. That the homemade Freddy Claus.
I'm just more impressed he knows how to use it. Oh, Jesus.
I'm more impressed that a grown woman can't overpower a child.
What would have been the hit song at this point in time to be on the alarm clock?
Fall of 94.
Ace of Base?
That's a good. Well, we can't sing it on here. You'll get pulled down.
YouTube will pull down the copyright.
Something about seeing the sign that could come on the.
You're giving your singing too much credit if you think that YouTube will be able to pick it up.
Too legit. Too legit to quit.
You know, something that I will give this a lot of credit for is that it never falls into that trap of just overdoing. Answer the phone. Overdoing the whole like it was all a dream.
So that's the one thing I remember from this one from the video stores was on the back cover was the shot of the phone with the tongue and yeah.
I'm your boyfriend now.
There's a fair amount of callbacks to the original, right? Because that's from the original.
Opens the front door, tosses him out, slams it shut.
The back door throws him in the pool.
This doctor.
This boy ain't right.
This doctor.
Oh, she's so mean.
Yeah. I mean, she's worse than the limo driver, I think, as far as like
we don't get the introduction to this at all. We come into this, well into the meeting. It's clear she thinks that Heather Langenkamp is whacked out on, coke or some shit.
Right. And she doesn't care for her job. She doesn't care for her movies. But still, I mean, it's like have a little bit of bedside manner.
Are her eyes really that piercingly blue, or was this?
Yeah.
No, you're just in love, Alex.
Apparently. Like I'm talking about these early to mid 90s movies. Everything's fuzzy around the edges. Maybe I just I'm in love with Heather Langenkamp and Daniel Stern.
Beautiful woman.
Yeah. So when the first time I watched this movie, and this lady's being so intense, this doctor, I'm like, man, she's just overselling it. And then as it plays out, and it turns out that no, her doctor character is just that much of an asshole. And I was like, all right, I guess she was in the right key from the beginning.
Doesn't she at one point offer her like rehab?
Yeah, it's just like your child can go into foster care until you feel better.
The woman on the left is a New Line exec.
She was also in Kingpin.
Was she?
Yeah, she has oral relations with Woody Harrelson's character in that
okay.
movie.
Okay, then is she in There's Something About Mary too?
She might be, yeah. She
The lady that
she's in a movie we've done.
Santans?
I can't remember.
Speed.
she's like a long-time New Line person, though. I can't remember her name off the top of my head.
Kingpin wasn't New Line, that was MGM, so that's weird.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Huh. I don't know why I thought that the Farrelli's were just New Line.
I could be wrong about that. Prove me wrong.
Oscar winner, Peter. Or Bobby, whichever one.
Have you seen Green Book? Yeah, keep it that way.
I listened to y'all's
It
episode.
solves racism.
I listened to y'all's episode, and it turned out it was exactly what I thought it was going to be, so I don't need to see it.
That warms my heart. I'm sure Peter Farrelly or Bobby Farrelly would not be very happy about it, but somebody chose to listen to our episode rather than watch the movie.
Like, he directed
there's-
Dumb and Dumber, and he won an Oscar.
Listen,
Dumb and Dumber is a good movie.
It is. It's better than fucking Green Book.
it's okay
Kingpin
to
is a good
just
movie.
do different things. Wes Craven tried to do music of the heart. Yeah, I think that lady.
Come on, take him. Go to bed.
Down the hatch.
Let's drug our kids. But don't you think it took her too long to take her kid to the doctor? Like foaming at the mouth. That's where she finally.
But to be fair to the point of the movie, it's her whole thing of like she's.
But before that, I mean, he jumped off the playground.
Well, he had that seizure when she came home from the talk show.
Oh, yeah.
I guess
And
that's
the
true.
knives thing was a nightmare.
Yeah,
Right.
Maybe. Yeah.
She's fighting every maternal instinct because she lived through some serious shit 10 years ago.
When she
Don't
made
make
the movie.
excuses for poor parenting, Alex.
More milk. Gross.
Mother.
Have
It's
another
okay.
drink, mother.
We love you now, Heather Langenkamp. You're amazing in this movie.
The best in the original is the shot where like her mom steps out into the hallway behind her and like lights the cigarette before she gives the entire backstory.
Yeah, and how she like just chills by the furnace to drink. That's where she goes to hang out.
The reveal that there's more to this kid than met the eye.
But he goes to sleep anyway.
It's just
Hollywood
meditating.
Hospital.
That is a classic mistake. That's 101. I'm going to go to bed and pretend so people will leave me alone and then actually fall asleep. It's a hell of a station wagon too.
Like that. That's
It's a Volvo.
That's the hospital for like the stars at that level. It's not Cedars-Sinai, where like the A-listers go.
Who would have been top of the world in 94 that could have driven by right there and be like, hey!
Well, this opened the same day as Pulp Fiction, so I guess
Travolta?
Travolta's come
Well,
back.
to be fair, Travolta's an evergreen answer. From 1976 onward, you could say Travolta and it would work.
But before this weekend, he was a laughing stock. So
Yeah, the quote was box office poison.
Who was the cameo in, well, one of the cameos in the Entourage movie when Ari is just running through the studio? Is it Kelsey Grammer?
So is that
why would anyone live in Los Angeles?
was that legitimate?
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
actual
Okay.
damage. Yeah,
So that earthquake happened and then incorporated a lot of it into this movie.
they just like went out and got a lot of footage of it. Yeah,
Wes Craven's like, we're gonna save a fucking fortune.
She's drinking an actual like
It was a Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
Was that really like? Okay, so it was an actual
and
brand.
she's still in California. God,
She's now in Jerusalem.
Oh, that's right. She's going to Wes Craven's mansion.
He lives just out East Jesus nowhere.
This is like in the 89 Batman where he's taken Vicky Vale to the Batcave for the first time.
Yeah, so this depiction of Wes Craven.
He should just be nude in a bathrobe.
Wes did really well for himself. My God.
Well,
talk about income inequality.
All that Last House on the Left money.
I was about to say
the woman just walking into frame there.
This is him currently living off the payday loan he took for Scream. What are those little statues he's got back there? There's an elephant. All right, we're learning more and more. This script of this movie is just piercing, penetrating into real life. Reid, what is your favorite Wes Craven movie? He's got some good chunk.
The first Nightmare, I would say.
Oh, man.
I'm trying to think if there's like an obvious. It's easier than like what's your favorite John Carpenter movie or something like that, you know. So,
I love you as a friend and a brother, but the first Scream.
The first Scream is good.
Unsurprisingly, this has shot up to the top of my Wes Craven list.
He's got a hell of a set of chompers on him, dude. Look at those. I'm waiting for
they're gonna fall out at some point.
Mildred or whoever the housemaid is to bring him just a can of peas and.
Okay, but let's not beat around the bush. His acting is pretty terrible.
He's a director. He's not an actor.
Right, but couldn't you hire somebody to...
I'm an actor. I'm a fucking actor.
Look at that in the reverse shot here, though. The box TV built into the wall with the fireplace.
Can you imagine how much fuck you money you would have had to have in 1994 to have that?
To have one of those set up? Yeah.
Because TVs back then went like 2 feet deep.
Yeah.
All right, so
it costs like $5,000.
Oh no, we're still talking about
28-inch TV.
We're talking about Wes Craven meeting with his contractor.
No, but
I'm going to have a 35-inch TV built into the wall.
But we're assuming
Mr. Craven, it's not practical.
We're assuming they're shooting this in his.
It's not practical. Make it happen.
I've got New Nightmare coming out. God damn it!
So this is his real house. You think that they shot this in his house?
No,
I don't know.
Wes Craven seems like a much more modest individual.
That's why he put himself in this movie.
He probably had a ranch somewhere in Oregon.
It felt like she drove to Oregon from Beverly Hills.
This was likely, I don't know, the kid from Blank Check's house at this point.
Do you think he is a worse actor than Tarantino?
No.
He certainly doesn't get off on saying the N-word as much as Tarantino does.
I think this was really the only time he ever did anything in front of the camera. And I mean, he's playing. It fits the material. Yeah. I don't know what your problem is here.
He's pretty bad, man.
Julio's had this vested interest the entire time, just waiting for this scene.
Just major takedown of Wes Craven.
Office.
Love that computer.
Classic.
It's just not as romantic. Everybody is.
I love that
look,
picture.
there's a Johnny Depp cameo.
That's a real picture, though,
Yeah.
from the set of that. Because what was the thing? Like, it would take him like 4 hours to get all that makeup on.
Yeah.
So
And
then he would have
2
to
hours at the end of the day to take it all off.
get in character just by listening to God knows what at the point.
So you think that they had to like...
Now, this is something, they wouldn't have. You wouldn't be using that program in 1994. You wouldn't have Apple IIe writing.
That's what Josh Baskins plays in Big.
the text game in the opening scene. He has to type his commands in.
I'll be right there, Mom.
So you think they had to get a release from Depp to use that photo?
I don't know.
Realistically, yeah, they probably did.
Yeah, so, I mean, they had to ask him then. At least that thing.
Trying to ruin Wes Craven's anecdote? What do you have against this man?
Got some shoot heat over here.
He's dead. I mean, have some respect.
Far be it for me to call the man a liar, but no, he probably just got his lawyers to do it. I love that Freddy, Mr. Cellophane shot. He's just with the jazz hands.
Oh yeah, the lit from the front, and you see the profile of him in the back.
You should see if you can find, because the flashback to the talk show scene, if you can find the jazzy daytime version of the theme to like put it at the beginning or the end.
So I didn't do as much research, but my guess is this did not win as many Oscars as Pulp Fiction.
Well, Pulp Fiction only won one Oscar.
Best Picture?
No, Best Screenplay. But so yes, Pulp Fiction did win more Oscars than this movie.
What won Best Picture that year then?
Your favorite
Forrest
movie.
Gump.
Forrest Gump did? I know Tom Hanks won, but I always thought Pulp Fiction won.
The problem is that because this is a sequel, it did not qualify as original screenplay. It had to compete with adapted screenplay.
She has a cabinet, like a cabinet with the TV in it, but it comes out from the wall, so she doesn't quite have it as good as Wes.
She doesn't have Craven money.
Yeah. That's a nice throwback to the coffee machine on the bedside table. Oh God, now she has to go buy another $5,000 24-inch TV.
Why did I always think Pulp Fiction won? That's bothering me. But I know that year was like insane. The fact that Forrest Gump, Pulp Fiction, and Shawshank Redemption were all in the same year.
Quiz show.
Yep.
Great movie.
Yep.
And four weddings and a funeral. That is weird that Pulp Fiction only won screenplay.
In the long run, though, I mean,
Of course, in the moment. That's one of those things of that year at the Oscars was the definitive the party's never going to end. We're going to be producing quality like this forever and ever. And now Avengers Endgame will be nominated for Best Picture.
Don't you start. Is that a picture of Miko Hughes?
Of course it is. From the set of Pet Sematary.
This was the, yeah.
That's a great scream.
Yeah. That was the trailer thing, I remember.
I will give you this. The mask looks so much bigger on him. Like it's
because he's wearing a full
it's like tucked into his it's not just makeup, it's like a head on top of his head.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said,
a head over his head. A head on top of his head sounds like he has two heads.
Oh,
like
yeah,
one on top of the other.
He's got a quado on top of his head. This is the first one where he's wearing an actual like prosthetically made mask as opposed to just makeup on top.
Yeah, little pieces put on one at a time.
But like all of it's, I really like it because he's scary looking. The colors on his sweater are darker. Like you brought up, the glove looks more sinister because the bones are on it.
Yeah,
he's super Freddy. I think this is when the babysitter
that doctor
character
was actually Brian Dennehy.
I really like that the babysitter character kind of comes into her own in this last part of the movie.
And Reid immediately pointed out, but my God, has there ever been a more 90s looking female than this character here?
She looks like what's the name of the blonde from 90210?
Jenny Garth.
Yeah, Jenny Garth.
She's not the one from Chairman of the Board, is she?
No, that was she was on Melrose Place. Courtney Thorne Smith.
The same.
You should know these things.
Yeah, 90210 and Melrose Place. Circumstantial difference. And she's right back to judging her.
Ma'am, have you been hurting yourself?
What the fuck did you do to yourself?
Were you doing the crack rock?
Was this a sex thing?
So I don't remember if he...
I mean, at the end of the day, it's nice to have one character grounded in reality. You waited this long to bring this kid here?
Yeah, but the amount of sympathy that she shows for everybody is almost non-existent.
It's a tough field, man.
You know how many patients she sees every day? She has no sympathy for everybody.
She's a doctor in LA. You know the type of shit she sees?
It just seems like she's more interested in taking custody of the kid away from her than in any kind of solution to the problem.
She's living in her own movie.
Yes.
She saw Pet Sematary. She thought Miko Hughes was so cute. What's the gig on her head from? Oh, she hit it on the coffin.
Fell, and hit on the coffin.
This is where it's revealed that the Doctor has seen the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, or at least is aware of them.
Okay, well, that gauze will be $60,000.
So
Is he
judgmental.
Is he the one with the hockey mask?
See the doll.
It's just dripping with contempt.
That is hilarious to think about, like, in the time that the first Nightmare came out up until this, Child's Play had already come and completely burnt out. But that was one of those two. They released them, like, there were 3 of them. Yeah,
within
like 4 years.
Something
Yeah.
crazy, yeah.
So you think that this
Freddie
is based
never
on
went to a military academy. He never lowered himself to that.
Well, he did other things.
Yeah.
He was played by Jackie O'Haley.
Yeah, 20 years after the fact. 25 years. In a really bad movie.
Not Jackie Earl Haley's fault.
No. Although I think he was sedated, much like Miko Hughes, for that entire movie. Just
He thought he was still on the set of Watchmen.
God, what a gorgeous set of hair.
I know this is one of your things, Alex. So it's like, is it a good kid performance, or is it that the director did his job?
I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of ripe for the opinion that Reid had that this kid could have been kind of a little shit, because all due respect to Heather Langenkamp, Miko Hughes probably would have been the high profile name for this project.
That is upsetting.
Because this was after Pet Cemetery, but I'm pretty sure this was
strapping her to the chair
before Mercury Rising.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, that got me. I forgot that this was
It got me too when I was watching it.
Because I mean, I know the lead doctor is well-meaning.
Why'd she take that bump into the bed?
But
Just dove back first into that bed. I don't know.
slaps you.
What I was going to ask you earlier is, do you think that this has some sort of is based on Heather Langenkamp's experiences as a parent, where, you know, she might feel that other parents or authority figures like doctors judge her whenever there's some sort of issue, and they're like, did you let your kid watch your movies? You know, is he growing up in this sort of toxic environment?
She's got the gray back.
Her responses all seem very genuine. I mean, she's easily the standout in this.
Shouldn't that door have been locked?
If she could get into the morgue,
Punches her. Or just does the eye poke out of my way.
So which New Line executive is that one?
That's
So she's like, I don't think she ever lets him sleep.
That's
She was in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
that was Beth Newline. Oh God, 90s girl has changed clothes again.
No, she was wearing that.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
Okay. It's all very billowy and gin blossomsy.
It was a good time.
It was a simpler time.
Party was never going to end.
It was before smartphones and the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Turn around, nurse just has the gun. You have to understand, I took an oath to protect that child.
So what's the idea here? That she is not allowed to take her kid?
I don't know. She's not fit to. She let him watch the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. She's clearly an unfit parent.
It doesn't look like the doctor has made an official report.
I just wish that we had the actual scene of her explaining to the doctor all of his symptoms. So he was watching this TV that wasn't plugged in, but he's the crazy one.
Don't ask me how that works.
And then I was talking to John Saxton, and he climbed to the top of this playground equipment.
So God would take him.
And then he turned into a grown man and fell.
She's going rogue.
Boo.
They never really explained the gray hair. I mean, it's just stress.
Oh, I thought you were going to say they never explained why Rogue got Jubilee's story in the first X-Men movie. So bitter. All of them seem so eager to just punch Heather Langenkamp in the face.
So judgmental. Them, not you.
What a cunt.
This is the doctor's heel turn. Like full on.
No, this is the full-on heel turn here.
Oh, yeah, the syringe. Yeah.
How they play the switcheroo with the syringes.
Because you can just do this to a child.
Yeah. You aren't opening yourself up to all kinds of legal troubles.
Well, it was a different time, Reid.
Yeah. It was.
The party was never going to end.
Ace of Base was on the radio. Earthquakes were falling by the wayside.
Look at the babysitter standing her ground.
Oh.
That shit-eating grin.
The staff of this hospital.
Again, they work in LA. We have no grasp of what they see on a daily basis. They know what's better for their patients than we do.
Look at the babysitter getting her chance to shine.
Yes. The cut to the yawn. A staple of any great Nightmare on Elm Street film.
Meanwhile,
I do, yeah.
Do you think Kevin Bacon shows his kids the first Friday the 13th?
It's becoming more and more pronounced in between takes that Wes Craven just has, gray color 2 on a paintbrush and is just running it through her hair.
Gotta give Heather Langenkamp props for the patience, the restraint that she shows in this scene.
To be fair, there's 2 armed guards right there. Yeah, we've seen the Nightmare movies. You're not getting near that kid.
I mean, I'd like to call my lawyer.
Yeah. That should be the immediate go-to. Oh, Lord.
Now she needs to slap him.
Start slapping the shit out of him.
She'd be like, remember what happened to your dad when he fell asleep?
Jesus. He doesn't know that yet.
That was too much for him. That's the foster care suggestion.
Some harsh
So
shit.
that's the other thing, for this movie, and I understand it's trying to be different from the other ones, but this is the second kill in the movie, and we're almost done.
Yeah.
Well, there's been
the green hat.
Yeah, the hat's dope. It's so obvious that he's no longer wearing makeup, just a prosthetic. This scene is awesome, though. This is
It's rubbery.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just
this scene rules, though.
This is awesome. Yeah. How do you like the overcoat? His flasher.
I mean,
overcoat.
it's a Freddy for a new generation.
Yeah.
it's the 90s.
Finally, Heather Langenkamp.
Little, yellow, different. I do fucking love here the bitch doctor's moment of realization. She's like, my God, she was telling the truth all along.
It's the Freddy.
And this is obviously meant to be a throwback to the first one.
It looks cool. That him walking on the walls. Miko Hughes, scarred forever.
I don't know as much about this. I assume they did the same thing with this one, the rotating room.
Yeah. Obviously, much bigger budget can make it look...
Throwback to the playground sequence.
Like just the little tap of the head, he was somehow able to...
Okay,
it took
maybe
them so
maybe
long
not.
to run down the hall.
That call for Rex was maybe not his best moment.
Oh God, she's dead.
She goes,
We're
full
gonna
Mel
need a
Gibson.
bigger babysitter. And this doctor,
This nurse is... I don't know who this actress is.
No, she's helpful.
It's not good.
like how with all of that.
Is that the last we see of the
manpower.
doctor?
Oh yeah,
Well, that was a good facial expression to go out on.
she should have redeemed herself by going
They
out
should
and
have had the
confronting
thing where she
Freddy.
has to stop and like put her ticket in to get the gate to raise.
Again, who do you call? John Saxon.
I mean,
Now,
naturally,
if I'm directing this scene, it's the same exact shot, but there's just multiple beautiful women in bed with him because he's John Saxon. Okay, so this is
where we become
I hate this scene.
Really?
frighteningly aware of.
The great concept, the special effects, it's ruins this.
I guess I like the idea so much that I was willing to look past the
We were past
shifty.
Jurassic Park at this point. We had
Jesus,
in
you're
CGI. So
But the
Oh, this, yeah. No, I thought you were talking about the cars.
the budget was
well,
already
yeah,
cash.
the cars, the green screen with the
Took a good
cars,
bump.
and then there's like the extras wearing the Freddy. Look at that.
It's all right.
Yeah, we're gonna get the extra Freddys in a second, I think.
So where did we already cash in the budget? What?
John Saxon.
Because this whole scene is a great idea in principle, but
he had Wes over a barrel. He said, "You can't make this without me."
you can't fire me, Wes.
Oh, and the 18-wheeler jackknifes this shot. Here it comes.
Dark Knight's got nothing on this.
Oh, gorgeous. Yeah, that doesn't. Oh, Jesus! I
It
forgot.
looks
yeah.
good,
Hell
man.
of
I
a
mean,
bump.
most of it looks decent enough that you can follow the action.
If this was really LA, the guy would not. He would have kept
I
going.
was going to say, Kurt Hawkins gets out of the car really quick.
It's really quick, but even then, you could see that they didn't have enough of the good masks.
Yeah,
I mean, that's maybe a half a second shot, and yeah,
the Walmart quality.
yeah.
One of them is a Shatner. Well, that was an exciting set piece.
Yeah.
It was somehow, it wasn't as long as I remembered it. I remember the first time I saw this movie that, or the most recent time I should say, that went on forever because it looked so bad. But watching it with y'all, it's only like 2 minutes.
I think that Reid set the tone because he started with just like, this looks like shit, and then we were not prepared. For
He
how good it was
started
gonna
with
look.
the verbal Hugh Grant eye roll. Here we go.
All right.
I've been here for hours waiting for you.
I left my orgy. Here's the final turn into
He's
just...
like, how dumb are you? Yeah, sure. Just goddamn on the phone with the cops, like, help me.
Yeah, he does call the cop. He calls the head nurse back in the hospital.
You are right. Get over here right away.
I'm going to keep her here.
So this is pretty cool.
Leave him alone. Well, he's got his toy back, so.
Or also that just he starts calling her Nancy.
No, that's the whole point. It's I mean,
the realities.
We jest a lot with like what we've been watching so far, but I really love how it all kind of blends together here at the end.
Yeah,
and they're coming out of the house like in the front of the first movie.
I can't really imagine how
that's good.
How audiences at the time would have
but he had
watched this.
He had an LAPD badge there at Springwood, Ohio.
Well, it's an amalgamation.
Do you think, obviously excluding
Freddy Krueger, the pedophile that you all killed,
the fact that it came out the same weekend as Pulp Fiction, do you think the fact that this was so different definitely hurt its... Do you think if it had just been a normal Nightmare movie, it would have done better?
I don't know, because the time for those movies had come and gone.
So basically,
Jason Goes to Hell didn't do anything.
You think everyone that was going to see it saw it?
Yeah.
I wonder if some people felt that it was just, they heard about it being self-referential and they took it as just Wes Craven jerking off and didn't give it a chance,
Maybe.
Because if you hear about it and you're like, oh, it's about the making of a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie, you don't think of this movie. This is not what you think of.
I'm not sure that cynicism really existed at that point.
It was a different time.
The party was still going on.
But that is a curious thing. I guess you're right, because I always thought Jason Goes to Hell was after this. But if it was before, and that movie was not good, and it tried something kind of similar to this, in the terms of like throwing the franchise on its head, but still trying to maintain some sense of loyalty. Of course, it did in the sense of, I've only seen it once, but if I remember correctly, what that movie did was it said that Jason could be anybody. It was just a curse, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this one,
it's the heart. The coroner eats the heart.
The Kane Hodder plays the coroner, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
I think that was the first Jason movie that I watched beginning to end.
Jason Goes to Hell?
Yeah.
Why?
Because my friends and I were renting horror movies.
These like movies and franchises don't do it for you.
You gotta get in order. Go in order.
Whoever introduced you did it wrong.
Yep, TV's unplugged.
I mean, I enjoyed it for what it was.
I've seen it once. It was all right.
So this is, at this point, kind of dream world, but not quite, right?
No, I think we're fully in she's back in
because she's about to take the sleeping pills.
Yeah, the hypnosis.
It's like, it's not the real world, but it's not where Freddy is, because she needs to find her way to Freddy's realm, where things will get batshit crazy. So really, I just realized the kill count. I hadn't even thought about that, Reid, but
it's minimal.
Yeah.
We're down to what? We're at 2 people, and I think that's it, right? For the movie.
Her husband and her babysitter, so
that's pretty impressive.
The moral of this is do not get close to Heather Langenkamp. She even kind of, like, I guess maybe just the way they're lighting it, she looks younger there.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're doing a lot to really Rex.
Okay, so 3 casualties.
Yeah,
if you count Rex.
And Rex got it the worst out of all.
Throwback to Hansel and Gretel. That's cool. So remember the first time you watched this? At this point in the movie, do you have any idea where it was going to go?
No.
This kind of like trained you to just expect anything.
Yeah, because it goes insane
right
here at the end.
Because they've done this kind of ending before where like 3, they go into Freddy's realm
world,
or whatever
yeah.
you want to call it. But it doesn't get, as...
Well, I think like even beyond that, but of course you kind of have an idea of, well, we're heading into some sort of confrontation between her and Freddy for the life of her son.
Yeah.
But then after that, what happens? Like, I know I was watching and I was like, but how do you wrap it up in a way that's satisfying?
Yeah, she's definitely in her Valley of the Dolls phase right
that
here.
Shouldn't be there.
Yeah, she slide down it. I mean, that looks like fun.
With a knife.
I love the progression of this. This is like my favorite part of the movie. Just keeps getting darker and darker and nastier and nastier.
Freddy falls.
This is what I mean. It just gets absolutely bonkers.
I like that this was where Freddy was like living the whole time.
So is this where the budget went?
I guess they skimped on that highway scene to just build this massive
Freddy
Freddy-verse.
in the spare bedroom at Wes Craven's castle.
The original proposal in '94 when New Line and Universal was going to merge was this would be an exhibit at Universal Studios.
That would be awesome.
That would be amazing.
But they own so much now. Universal does every October they have like their
Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah,
and they have Freddy and Jason and Michael Myers, and I'm not sure how the legality of all that works out, but they do it.
I know they have something to do with House of a Thousand Corpses, which is funny because
it's a family theme park, and they're
what's funnier about it from a nerdier perspective is they were the studio that originally financed that movie, watched what Rob Zombie made, and said, "Nope,
we would like our money back."
And then in the end, they own it again.
Do they have Rob Zombie on Wednesday nights? Just kind of emceeing?
Yes. He operates as Scooby-Doo on Wednesday nights. I love that they basically laid this out like the map of a first-person shooter from 1994.
And Freddy is the boss. It's like the Doom first person. You just get like the Freddy mask.
Okay, so we talked about this when we did the original. Did you ever play the Nightmare on Elm Street video game on NES?
I've never played it. No.
Okay.
I've played the Friday the 13th one.
Everybody has.
Yeah.
Yeah, but never. No. I saw it once at a Game Over. It was in the case.
So like super expensive?
It was like $40, and I was like, that's just not worth it for something that would just sit on a shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having seen the Dream Warriors recently, that game makes a lot more sense now.
Because you play kind of basically versions of them, like the Wizard Kid and
If you just hang out by the third sandstone and just punch, you'll be all right.
So this is probably the weakest part of the movie for me. Not visually, because I think it looks great.
Classic.
But just the idea that it's one of those things where Freddy has the power to kill her right away. And instead
but Freddy's thing is he toys with his victims.
But I think he toys too much in this one. Great girl power moment.
I love how even in his realm, he doesn't have control.
Yeah. And he's afraid of fire.
Well, I guess arguably because she's special.
Lust? Oh, the sins.
Kid sidekick.
Oh, look completely through his leg. Nasty.
They really play down the sex offender angle in this movie.
That was all they ever really did was suggest in the first one.
But even
then they dropped it and he's just like, oh, he's a child murderer. That's a lot more fun.
But in the sequels, even if they don't refer to him as a pedophile anymore, the way he behaves, like there's like sexual overtones in a lot of his threats.
And then in the brilliant 2010 remake, they
they went hardcore,
amplify it to 1,000.
Yeah.
Look at that slow-mo.
It's like, fuck this.
Like,
jump in the furnace.
Mako Hughes is fearless. Okay, so see, this is what I mean. Like, Freddy, in his realm, he has the power to just get this kid. Right? This is not him toying with him. This is him just kind of forgetting that his abilities allow him to really stretch his hand and grab him.
But then he remembers it pretty quickly here.
And then takes his sweet time doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, the rules of this, I'm not 100% certain. I think they're kind of fluid. Look at that practical effect. Love it.
It's like Mr. Fantastic in the Fantastic Four movie.
Looks a lot better. Wait, the Roger Corman one or the...
They all look the same.
And the quicksand stairs. Nice throwback.
Still never seen the Roger Corman Fantastic Four.
It's on YouTube.
The whole thing?
Yeah.
Doesn't it end with them like riding away in a car together?
It's Sue Storm and Reid Rogers' wedding. And they get in the limo, and as the limo drives off through the sunroof, his arm extends out and waves goodbye.
That's right.
And it's like a pool noodle with a glove on it.
This after the "We'll Always Be Together" musical number.
Oh Jesus! I forgot how terrifying that shot is. They just told me go
and the
Hughes.
CG snaps back shut.
Yeah, just put your head in that mouth.
Okay, so I don't remember how they finally vanquish him.
Well, it has something to do with fire. But he's still got to do his blah, 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 tongue moment.
There it is. This is probably the most sexual he gets in the movie.
So nasty.
Is that like a staple of the series? Like the practical effect tongue thing?
It's part 3. It's that kind of famous.
I mean, it definitely, in 2, they have a more patent to it.
No.
I like that he still has some kind of muscle control that he's trying to avoid it.
Oh.
I love this because for the rest of the movie, he has the bifurcation. Like he has the tongue split in two. Yeah, see? Oh, I guess this is it, right?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
trap him, and he's just like,
The
at this
witch,
moment
they
in
put-
time,
they got the witch in the oven.
he's realizing, how could I be this fucking dumb? But yeah, he becomes Satan, and then explodes.
It was at this
As
moment
he
in
did.
time that Freddy realized maybe playing with them was not smart. There's some like Indiana Jones sort of ending.
Yeah, it seems clear that we answered our own question when we talked about the freeway scene of where'd the budget go. It was definitely in this
They
closing
split it
set.
between this and John Saxon's salary.
Originally, John Saxon would swing on a rope and rescue them. Right.
Let them go, Kruger.
So this is pretty
Your
awesome.
madness must not unwatched go.
I really love how they just tie it all together at the end. Just the whole thing with the script.
I never
Oh,
noticed the gray hair thing.
Really?
Yeah,
They even mention it. Like
I know. The
Yeah.
babysitter points it
Did
out.
you
But
literally not notice it until just this shot?
no. I mean, like I did,
Oh,
but like
okay.
this viewing,
I even made a rogue joke.
this viewing is when I noticed it, and there it is.
So I really like that note. Because
It
it's
humanizes
so
it. And,
well, yeah, and it plays in that story, but it also plays in our world. You know, it's like she came back to the franchise in our world one last time.
So, if for some reason you're not watching the movie with us, they're reading the script now, and it's what happened throughout the course of the movie. And Miko Hughes says, "Is it a story?"
But did you see that there? She was on the last page, and now in this wide shot again, she's back on the first page.
Don't ruin it.
All
They
right.
just lived this hell. She's going to read the whole story. You're going to relive your dad being murdered by this spirit
I
demon.
never understood. There's clearly smoke billowing outside the house that they don't address, and I've never really understood what that is or why not.
It's another earthquake.
It's L.A.
It's L.A. Why anyone would live there?
Thank God we're back in L.A. where people care about each other. All right, so we're getting ready to fade to the credits here, and one of the things I strategically planned out to close out this commentary track, as Reid was grateful to do this with us.
There's no, I mean, to cut you off. It's a score. Like, starting, all the Nightmare movies had songs at the end, and then 3 has Dream Warriors by Dawson,
Right.
which is like the greatest movie theme song ever. So this is another knock against this one, is that there's not, you know.
Well, it got to set itself apart
So 3
even more.
3 has Dawkins. 4 has Sinead O'Connor over the end credits. 5 has I want to say Cool Moody.
Cool Modi Simpson.
Which one has the
England got-
Cranberries' dream?
Top credit.
Has what?
Which one has the Cranberries' dream?
This would have been time appropriate for it.
There you go.
Period appropriate.
Yes,
Did Robert
yeah.
Englund get top billing?
Yeah, he did.
Finally.
Because you're a liar,
Where
liar.
does John Saxon get?
All the money.
No, I'm just curious as to where he comes. So they did Robert Englund, Heather Langenkamp.
Nico Hughes
That's-
Oh, so he's going to get
That's
the
fair.
and.
Oh yeah, he'll get the.
with
Who's David Newsom?
I'm
His,
assuming
the
guessing
husband.
He
Yeah,
played
the husband.
The husband.
Introducing the
She
babysitter.
was the babysitter.
the doctor.
So he is going to get the hand, isn't he?
Fran Bennett has to be the doctor.
Fran Bennett has to be the doctor, yeah.
And
Yeah.
John Saxon.
All,
With Wes Craven.
With Wes Craven as Wes Craven.
I thought that looked like an Irwin.
A classic Irwin.
So closing out here, I've strategically laid off discussion of Joker on the episodes we've recorded since we've seen it, just to kind of round this out, because Reid, I was always
That's its own like
Yeah.
multi-part episode.
that's the whole point. I'm basing this with about a 5-minute context. So of course, Mary Jane Ford. Compared to New Nightmare.
I would say New Nightmare is the superior picture.
Thank you.
I would agree. Not even trying to be funny. Well, and as far as entertainment value, definitely.
So surface level review, because that was basically my whole idea of keeping it away from one of the sequential episodes of the podcast we do, just because it would take on a life of its own and just get out of control. So I guess surface level review of Joker.
Freddy's hand double gets first billing.
It's in alphabet, in order of appearance.
Reid, what would you? There's a lot of himself and herself. So
Yeah, I am listening to what you're saying. I'm just trying to remember. So
Tuesday night.
Nick Corey was the guy from the first one. Okay, so maybe they only had those couple people. There were a couple Easter eggs. Those were the two that were like.
And you called both of them out.
We need you for an afternoon. So I think it's kind of what career
Get me
level they were
LaPaglia. So surface level review of Joker, like with what
Joaquin Phoenix is very, very good in it.
And the movie overall
is not very good.
What would you give it? I don't know how you rate things, Reid. Like, do you do numbers? Do you do stars?
I really
do you
like
do
it.
Letters.
If y'all ever want to do a full episode on it, I'm there. Although I think
See what you've created,
all
Alex.
Three of us had negative feelings, so I think you would need a counterbalance because
I think
three
I can
people sitting around
right
bashing it's kind of boring.
I can play devil's advocate to it, but in the end, it's not. I'm not in love with the movie the way that other people are.
I will say this in case we don't end up doing a full length episode.
It would be hilarious if we end up doing a Joker
for
episode.
Every fucking iteration of Batman, and they sneak in at the end. The Waynes have to be killed, and
pearls.
They have that shot of the pearls. It's
not good, and I think that's part of the reason I wanted to save it for this particular segment, just because it very, very likely could lead itself to its own episode. But we all agree it's not good. Joaquin Phoenix is good.
Y'all did Blowout, right?
Yes.
At the end, when the riots are going on in Gotham and the Waynes are running out of the theater, it's Blowout on the marquee. So they took a little kid to see Blowout. I mean,
well, the thing
maybe it was alternating.
Wayne is a piece of shit in the movie.
My thing was also the when they go to the movie theater, when Joker walks in and they're playing Modern Times that they're watching, it's like, what fucking year is this? I'm just trying to think of who the potential in memory of could be at the end of this movie. I know there's not going to be one, but I'm just trying to think of who would have died
New Nightmare
in 1993.
Or who may be associated with the franchise.
Well, we just watched Mute, and it was no, it wasn't Mute.
No, it was Mute when he
In Love and Memory of My Parents or something, right? Yeah.
He dedicated the movie to both of his parents that had not recently passed. Anyway,
I was going to say it would be a crime if we end up doing a Joker episode with Reid before we do a Dick Tracy episode with Reid.
No, yeah, that's the end game. No pun intended.
That's the series finale.
So Reid got in his line, my line about the Joker is very similar. It's a very, very confused and disjointed movie with one good performance in it. Julio, how do you?
Well, first off, like, I'll agree that Joaquin Phoenix is great in it, and then I kind of like mentioned it in our Adventureland episode comes after this, right? Because it was when I brought up the idea of the Joker as a Rorschach test of a movie, comparing it to Adventureland also as a Rorschach test of a movie, but in different ways. But the idea that a lot of your experience in a movie with a movie has to do a lot sometimes with what you bring to that movie. So in the case of Adventureland, not to spoil it for people, but Alex liked it a lot more than I did because there was a lot of stuff that he related to there that I didn't really relate to because of my life experiences compared to his. And with Joker, what I've kind of found is that the people that really, really love it, it feels a little like it's not so much because of the movie, but rather what they bring with them when they go watch the movie, which is a valid experience to have at the, when watching a film. That's, of course, it's like art. It's supposed to elicit reactions based on your life experiences. But in the case of Joker, it just feels more pronounced than usual. When people tell me, well, I saw this in the movie, and I saw this, and I saw this, and I was like, I didn't see it. I saw little things that would trigger that from you.
They
but
didn't see it either.
but you can, but there's something that triggered.
There's nothing that movie doesn't say anything.
But I think that it plants the seeds for a lot.
Losing my religion. Yeah, I mean, of a better movie, I could agree with you, but it's not a good movie. So
I think the problem, and I mentioned this to Reid when we're here for your last party. I think that one of the problems is that it constantly makes you think of better movies, and it's not just the Taxi Driver, King of Comedy things, but even like you mentioned, like Modern Times, it's like, it's almost like the movie's going out of its way to make me think of better movies.
Yeah.
I didn't even catch Blowout, but it's fine, I guess. I didn't hate it. I felt it was kind of, oh, there it is, Alex, Greg Fonseca, In Memory Of.
No idea.
Cool.
I felt it was very oppressive in the way that, I don't know, 90% of the movie is just like, look how shitty his life is.
It was very lazy. Not lazy. What's the lowest common denominator? I guess it was. And there's no part of the movie that doesn't completely hold your hand through the entire thing.
It thinks it's very profound. Again, yeah, I'm saving my ammo for if you guys ever
the long-winded.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just kind of want to touch on that because exactly to what you just said, Reid, it could get away from us and cover an entire hour or more of discussion.
When it wins Best Picture in 3 months, it's gonna be a tough bill.
Like you said, Todd Phillips getting a director nom is going to be something. So, New Nightmare. I think we are all in agreement. It's fun. It's an interesting and I think kind of overreaching movie. I don't try too hard sounds rude.
No, it's
ahead of its time.
Great idea ahead of its time. I think some of the execution is lacking.
I mean, would it do better if you released the exact same movie today?
Well, not with those effects. It'd be laughed off the screen.
Okay, with the equivalent effects and today, sort of like story.
It would have been better received, and
not on Pulp Fiction weekend.
Yeah, I don't know what the future holds for any of these because they're saying a thing. I read something this week or last where Wes Craven's estate is now like entertaining the idea of like, oh, we want to continue the franchise somehow, but
a Netflix series.
The Halloween was successful, and that's probably where they're going. Like, oh shit, that made a lot of money, so now we need to do it. But like, the first attempt at a Halloween reboot was awful, and the Friday the 13th and Nightmare reboots were awful. And it's like maybe these were just movies that can only exist in the time they existed.
I mean, this New Nightmare, it feels like a nice final chapter to me. Like if it was a nice way to just.
And part of the thing too is like the movies, like in the 80s, they were really low budget. They were kind of made really quickly, and that's part of the charm of them too. Nowadays everything goes through so much studio oversight and everything. I mean, everything's a product. There's no. I mean, and these were products too, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. It's just like maybe they just could only exist in their time, and maybe that's the only time they should exist in.
They should use that effort to potentially think of something original.
Yeah. Well, we're well past that.
All right, Julio, any closing thoughts?
I really like it. 4 stars out of 5. The redemption of Heather Langenkamp, not that she owes me anything, but after disliking her performance in the original Nightmare and not really being crazy about it. Here's the thing. When I watched Dream Warriors, I thought that was going to be it. I thought, man, this is going to be Heather Langenkamp coming back into the franchise and really winning me over. And so I was really bummed when that didn't happen. And then, so I came into New Nightmare expecting to not be wowed by her performance again, and instead she was great. And that's really my main takeaway. It's like, man, that was a good high note for this one-sided relationship to go out on. It's like,
You'd have to IMDb it, but I don't know what she really did after this. I mean, because really she had these movies and she had that TV show she was on, and I think that was kind of it. She's good in this.
Yeah, this is my favorite Nightmare movie. I mean, it works on for all the things we jested about during the recording, which are, somewhat deserved. It's my favorite one. It's the most engaging and the one I enjoy the most.
If you take Scream out of the question, what's your favorite was Craven?
Scream 4.
If you take the Scream franchise.
Shit. I like this a lot. I don't know.
Vampire in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I was going to say Vampires, but that's Carpenter.
Yeah. Like you said, it's more difficult to choose a Carpenter than it is a Craven.
Yeah.
But
Shocker.
Yeah.
Shocker's entertaining.
She's in it, right? Heather Langenkamp. I haven't seen it, but I remember going.
Does she have like a cameo?
I guess.
Is she actually in it?
Maybe they're playing Nightmare on Elm Street in the background.
The unplugged TV. So that was New Nightmare. Reid, we always appreciate having you on. Appreciate you joining us for another commentary track.
See you again in a year.
Yes, when we do Joker. After it sweeps.
There you go. A commentary for Joker.
At this point, that's what it's going to have to be.
When it breaks Return of the King's record.
Because I'm not going to voluntarily watch that movie just by myself again, so it'll have to be something like a commentary track. But Otherworld's Austin, we'll have all the links in the post. And
this comes out before next Thursday, right?
Yes.
This one shouldn't take a ton of
No.
No.
Yeah.
We're rushing this one through post.
Yeah.
Much like the highway sequence in this movie.
All right.
That's the perfect note to end.
That's what I was about to say. That's going to wrap us up for the Contrarians for commentary track number 2. We will catch y'all next time in the numeric sequential series. Thank you for listening.
The summer of 1999.